What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode. If you remember correctly, when Darth Maul was introduced in Star Wars Episode 1, Zabrak was considered a less important character who served as a physical opposition for Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. He served as the catalyst for one of the most iconic and engaging lightsaber duels in the history of Star Wars, and often regarded as a substantially cool character, but he was utterly devoid of characterization and motivation. Maul had virtually no lines and was killed off to make way for Count Dooku to take the reins as the leading opposition for Episode 2 and the beginning of Episode 3. It wasn't until the animated Clone Wars series resurrected the character and allowed him to rise to prominence once again that Maul was given more character depth and importance within the great Star Wars lore. This series fleshed out his motivation, characterization, and ambitions, as well as gave him substantial storylines and quests to embark upon. Before we went on to take Part 1, the projects in becoming a fan favorite sensation, before going on to take part in another vastly lucrative Star Wars project, becoming a fan favorite character. He received more attention in recent years compared to his past, which was mostly unexplored and underdeveloped on screen. Speaking strictly of Darth Maul's origins, beyond simply some spoken dialogue, we haven't really gotten any story about his origin, not beyond his young Sith years. I'm talking about when he was a child and what his life was like. There's no mention how he was taken under the fold of the Sith. To begin with, much of Maul's story has been focusing more on his present time and the time leading up to his eventual defeat at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. His detailed backstory can be explored in depth through many episodes and books, but it was scattered among them. One particularly new book, Myths and Fables, gives us significant insight into Zabrak's tragic story and rise to prominence as Lord Maul, which drastically alters the story of his Legends counterpart and makes the story of Darth Maul far more tragic than was originally anticipated. Mother Talzin gave birth to him and raised him with Night Sisters. His childhood innocence was quickly discarded as he was sold to become a slave by Talzin. In order to fulfill her own self-interest. It was revealed in the novel that Talzin originally advocated for him to be Palpatine's original apprentice after the eventual death of his master Darth Plagueis. In order to do this, Talzin was advised to surrender her attachments and learn to part with what she cared for, most of which included an adolescent Maul in preparation for her evaluation induction into the Sith Order. What's interesting is that the similarities that these views have with the establishment of the Jedi Order and tradition, who pride themselves on being warriors of the light and knights of the prosperity and justice of the galaxy. Yet they do this by severing ties with personal attachments in the service of the Force and the wider order. This Hippocratic and narrow-minded view led to the downfall of the Order and made the dogmatic principles prominent, something on which the Jedi Order was founded. At some point down the line upon his eventual discovery and interests by Darth Sidious, Maul was technically in violation of the Sith rule of 2, seeing as Darth Plagueis was still alive at this point in time, and now so was Maul. When he was indoctrinated into the Sith Order, when Sidious decided to choose Darth Maul's apprentice over Talzin, was the purge rage and a hatred that Maul had within himself, being abandoned by his mother, not to mention being born on the world of Dathomir, a location strong with the dark side of the Force. It was Darth Maul's inner rage of being betrayed that truly made him a prime candidate for the Sith, more suitable than his mother, who had simply given up attachments. Darth Maul's suffering made him an ideal Sith assassin, though Palpatine was able to conduct Maul's training in a clandestine facility on Mustafar. He made sure that Maul remains a Sith assassin and became the face of the most dangerous Sith missions. Though Plagueis was right to be skeptical, given the nature of the Sith, they both agreed that an assassin would be a valuable ally while also being very easily expendable. This allowed Maul to be easily cast out or replaced, putting himself on the line and being the most prominent public opposition to the Jedi Order, while allowing Plagueis and Sidious to remain confined within the shadows, pulling the strings in secret and orchestrating their own agendas, unknown to the Senate and the wider Jedi Order. They did agree to train Maul under the assumption that he would soon be killed and replaced as the hierarchy of the Sith took full effect. However, Sidious quite notably had other plans that resulted in the eventual death of Dark Plagueis. As he slept, this regulated Maul to a Sith assassin and a formidable warrior rather than being a formal inclusion into the Sith Order for the majority of his tenure as a Sith. He was not given the title of the Sith Apprentice initially. In fact, he was denied the title at the time, but he continued his training and improved his skills as Palpatine guided. The larger mysteries of the dark side, those simply escaped Maul. As he was never taught them instead, he was taught to channel his anger into the dark side and mastered his iconic dual-bladed lightsaber. His first official mission wouldn't come until roughly a year before the blockade of Naboo, and the subsequent events of the Phantom Menace, which would eventually result in the death of Qui-Gon Jinn and the supposed death and defeat of Maul. During this assignment, he marched through the upper ranks of the organization, disrupting the hierarchy with minimal effort and executing the highest lieutenants within the organization. After defeating the most dangerous bodyguards and gifted combatants, he proceeded to slaughter the survivors and annihilate the kingdom before moving on to the group's leader, Alexei Garn, his final confrontation. Before he killed Garn, there was a fellow Dathomirian and Night Sister Miguela, who confronted the Dark Lord and was soon defeated by a savage Maul at the dusk of his first assignment, leaving the organization in shambles and returning to a highly pleased Lord Sidious. Plagueis was still alive at this point. The seeds were being sown for Maul to ascend to the title of formal Sith Apprentice, though much like Mother Talzin's ambitions, they would never come to full fruition, as he would meet his defeat at the hands of a Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Before Sidious's execution and his master putting a wrench in the plans of Darth Sidious, at least for the time being, and before another more powerful apprentice would arise in the form of Dooku, this left Sidious to believe that both his master and his prospective apprentice were dead, leaving him to search for an adequate replacement. This would eventually lead him to the fallen Jedi Master, Dooku, leading into the events of the attacks of the clones, though Maul would fester in isolation. Until the events of the Clone Wars, he would be pulled from the shadows. Maul rises once again through the ranks of the criminal world, claiming himself to be a Sith. Even Sidious had to put him in his place. He again revealed the fallen apprentice that there can be only two, himself and Dooku, and that Maul had been replaced, leading Maul to reveal his place and his true identity as a gangster and an underworld leader. This was an epic comeback of a character and the power they gave him. Anyways, what do you guys think of him? Do share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.